My name is Rida Karing Chebet. Welcome on board. President William Ruto has urged the two leaders of Sudan to come together for peace in the region. The president implored the leaders of the two parties, the Sudan Armed Forces and Rapid Support Forces, to ensure full compliance with the IGAD head of state mission. The president added that it is critical for an international coalition of all the actors that have been involved in supporting the restoration of civilian rule in Sudan to act with urgency. Bushebi Jr. with more.
The deteriorating situation in Sudan is of great concern to our region and continent.
President William Ruto has said that Kenya is greatly concerned about the developing crisis situation in Sudan.
In the last 5 days, fighting has led to the loss of hundreds of lives, massive destruction of property, and displacement of civilians. Kenya is deeply alarmed that a misunderstanding over a single outstanding item in the political framework agreement, namely the time frame for the integration of the Rapid Support Forces into the Sudan Armed Forces, has degenerated into violent conflict.
Speaking on Wednesday from State House, Ruto implored all parties to address their differences through peaceful means for the sake of the security of the people of Sudan and stability of the country and the region.
The indiscriminate deployment of lethal power and air power by both RSF and SAF has targeted military and non-military targets, causing devastating damage to property as well as strategic public infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and airports. We are also deeply concerned that members of the diplomatic community have been targeted and civilians in general have been caught in the crossfire. A pattern of systematic violation of established norms and principles of international humanitarian law is clearly emerging, and this situation is evolving into a threat to regional and international peace and security.
According to Ruto, Kenya and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development states were available and ready to contribute to the resolution of the situation.
Atrocities against humanity. There is real danger that the escalation of hostilities in Sudan could implicate external, regional, and international actors and degenerate into a security and humanitarian crisis on a disastrous scale. It is therefore critical for an international coalition of all the actors that have been involved in supporting the restoration of civilian rule in Sudan to act with urgency. The United Nations, Africa Union, IGAD, and all the other stakeholders for the Sudan must lead a process that extends beyond mere cessation of hostilities towards the restoration of sustainable peace, security, and stability. It is time to silence the guns in our region and continent so that we can focus on the urgent work of enabling our people to pursue opportunities and actualize their aspirations in peace and tranquility. Time is of the essence.
The eruption of violence came after days of unrest between a paramilitary force and the country's army. On Saturday, explosions and shootings rocked the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. Details say that paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) and the country's army are in disagreement over how RSF should be integrated into the military. RSF, under the command of the Council's Vice President General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, claimed that they had seized the presidential palace. In the days before Sudan tumbled into a catastrophic conflict, its two most powerful generals came tantalizingly close to a deal that the American and British mediators hoped would diffuse their explosive rivalry and even steer the vast African nation to democracy. However, as they talked peace, Sudan's generals prepared for war. The stakes were soaringly high. Since 2019, when a popular revolution toppled Sudan's dictator of 30 years, a transition to democracy had been installed by this pair of ruthless, squabbling generals. Now, a single issue was holding up an agreement to get them to hand over power. Foreign envoys held long meetings with the two generals, that is the Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the paramilitary leader Lieutenant General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, in an effort to get an agreement. Promises were made, concessions extracted. They even dined at the home of a senior general. But on the streets, the rival military machines were tooling up for a fight. At night, troops flooded quietly into rival military camps across the capital, Khartoum, where they marked each other like opposing players on a soccer field. Paramilitary fighters surrounded a base that housed warplanes from Egypt, a powerful neighbor that had sided with the Sudanese army. And when the first gunshots rang out on Saturday morning, the pretense of dialogue was instantly shattered. For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, I'm Bushabi Jr.